Good morning, Pilgrimians, and good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to another episode of Pilgrim Hour. Let us continue on what we had discussed last Wednesday. Now, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, in the New International Version, it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all creatures that move along the ground." In another version, ESV, when God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea. And in KJV version, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. And then the last one is in ASB, let us make man in our image according to our likeness and let them rule over the fish of the sea. As what I have said last Wednesday, that to be made in the image of God means humanity is connected to God by having a personal, moral, spiritual, and intellectual sense of being, just like God. Now, for example, 1, we are given intellectual ability far superior to that of any animal. 2nd, we are given a mind capable of hearing and understanding God. The 3rd one is we are given emotions capable of responding to God with love and devotion. And the last one is we are given a free will which enable us to choose whether or not to obey God. Yet while these are all true, I think the best understanding of what being made in the image of God means is human beings are created with unique abilities, absent from every other creatures on the earth that mirror the divine nature of God. Now, to be made in the image of God means we are to be visible reflections of the invisible God. Think of it as the visible manifestation of God's character, worth, and greatness. It's only natural to wonder next, in what ways have we been created to reflect God's character, worth, and greatness. God wants to create something even greater, something even more wonderful and unique to be the final to His beautiful creation. So God created human beings as unique piece of creation, designed to be set apart from the rest of the animal world. Mankind is given the greatest privilege of all, to be a special expression of God's own divine nature. Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over creeping thing that creeps on earth. That's ESV version. So immediately after creating mankind, God tasked us with unique rule to have dominion over the earth. Actually, this is part of God's blessing in mankind. Adam and Eve were given dominion over the entire earth, meaning they were to rule and reign over it on behalf of God, who is the ultimate ruler and king. This means to be made in the image of God and His likeness means that humans are like God and represent Him as rulers over creation. Now, Adam and Eve were to fill the earth with godly offspring who all reflected in the image of God through their rule and reign over the earth. In Psalms 8 is a great passage that gives us more insight into this. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, and also the beasts of the field, the birds, the heavens, and the fish of the sea, whatever passes along the paths of the seas. Psalms 8:4-8, ESV version. Now, what does the word dominion means? What does it mean to have dominion over? Now, in Hebrew, the word dominion means rada, or to rule over it, subdue it, till it, keep it, or rada, often translated as rule or have dominion over. The other one is kabash, subdue. Then the third one is abad, kill. Then the last one is shamar, or keep. Now, God has sovereign power over His creation and has delegated the authority to mankind to have dominion over the animals. Genesis 1:26. Now, David reinforced this truth. You made mankind rulers over the works of their hands. You put everything under their feet. Psalms 8:6. Now, humanity was to subdue the earth. We were to hold a position of command over it. We were placed in a superior rule and were to exercise control over the earth and its flora and fauna. Mankind was set up as the ruler of this world. All else was subjugated to him. God's command to subdue the earth and the animal life in it is a command to have the mastery over all of it. A true mastery of anything cannot be accomplished without an understanding of the thing mastered. In order for a musician to master the violin, he or she must truly understand the instrument. In order for mankind to attain mastery over the animal kingdom, we must understand the animals. With the authority to rule comes this responsibility to rule well. There is an inherent accountability in the command to subdue the earth. Man, woman has a duty to exercise his dominion over the authority of the one who delegated it. All authority is of God, Romans 3:13, 1-5, and He delegates it to whomever He will. The word subdue doesn't have to imply violence or mistreatment. It can mean to bring under cultivation. Man is to be the steward of the earth. Now, since this month is a stewardship month, ato ning ma-relate, he is to bring a material world and all of its varied elements in the service of God and the good of mankind. Now, the command to subdue the earth is actually part of God's blessing on mankind, created in the image of God. Adam and Eve were to use the earth's vast resources in the service of both good of God and themselves. It would only make sense for God to decree this, since only humans were created in God's image. When God had humanity, or when God gave humanity dominion over the animals, it was in order to care for, tend to, and use those animals to their full potential in just a manner. At the time that God gave mankind dominion over the animals, humans did not eat meat in Genesis 1:29. Eating meat did not begin until after the flood in Genesis 9:1-3. And it was at that time that animals started to fear humans. However, although God changed the way we interact with animals in that they are now meat, we still bear a responsibility to treat animals humanly. Human rule over animals does not mean we have the right to mistreat or misuse those animals or everything that God has created. Having dominion over the animals or everything that God has created should entail a humane management of them as the resource God has ordained them to be. We should consider that mankind was given the task and blessing of representing God in this world. We humans are the caretakers. We hold sway all the earth, and we, bearing God's image, bear a responsibility to act as God would. Does God misuse His creation? No. Is God unwise in His management of resources? No. Is God ever cruel or selfish or wasteful? No. Then neither should we be. Any misuse or mistreatment of God's creation is the result of what we are doing, of what we have seen today. We must fulfill our duty to manage the earth wisely, since we are stewards of God's creation. The earth we have to manage the earth wisely until that time when the world shall lie down with the Lamb in the kingdom of Christ. Again, thank you for being with us in this early morning on our Pilgrim Hour. May God bless us and keep us always. I would like to acknowledge the following Bible tools by Mark G. Collins and Dr. Capolon's commentary on UCCP Statement of Faith from the book entitled Unless the Seed Falls and Dies. They can find UCCP Faith and Order Committee and Understanding the Bible from the Christian Education and Nurture Test. And last one is Biblical Foundations of Faith by Dr. Proceso U. Udarbe. God bless us and keep us always.